one thing I'd like to ask you is, what actually made you start your YouTube channel? What drove you to actually get out there and get involved?
I was wondering if you asked that. I mean, the thing is, about a year and a half ago, Mac, I really looked at my country. I took a long, hard look at it. And I was in the election, the election season was real hot, for 2012, and it was coming down to the wire. And I'm looking at my party. I'm looking at, because I used to say I was Republican, conservative. I'm looking at Mitt Romney running for office. I'm thinking, this guy's not trying to win. My party doesn't represent me anymore. I had just seen the Republican National, the RNC convention, where they read off a teleprompter the answers to when they took votes, like it was already pre-scripted. I'm thinking, the GOP is not really representing us anymore. They're not doing it. They're a bunch of I'm slowing down here. They're a bunch of progressives on the right now. And I'm looking at my country and saying, something's got to change here. Like I said just a second ago, I would rather not say a word. I'd rather live in a great America that was a great place and not have any of these things to say. And I'd rather not be a voice. I'd rather just be a normal guy living his life. But when I see the country going down the path it's going down, and I see us doing it blindly, ignorant of the history that's come before us and where that path leads, I can't in good conscience sit there and look at it and not say anything. I can't just stand here and go, oh, well, I guess it's too late. I'm just going to accept the status quo, and it is what it is. I refuse to accept that.
Absolutely. And it will be too late if we don't do anything. It's never too late as long as you're trying. That's one thing that people don't get, is they think that, there's nothing we can do. For example, Obamacare right now, law of the land. Yeah. They keep saying it's the law of the land. Stop trying to change it. It's the law of the land. Well, slavery was the law of the land, and we changed it. And if we look at what the progressives are doing right now, everything that they've been trying to chip away, all these freedoms that we have, they are already the law of the land, and they're trying to take them away. They're trying to change it.
Absolutely. And the thing, you can really see that reflected through society when you look at, and I hate to criticize them because I know they see the underbelly of society whenever they're called that something bad's happening, but you see it in law enforcement. These guys, they go around and it seems like they'll pass, any law a politician passes, they will enforce it.
At what point, as a police officer, at what point would those police officers actually realize, hey, this is unconstitutional, why am I doing this, I need to stop? I think every police officer needs to ask himself that question. Yeah. And in fact, hey guys, if you're out there and you're a police officer, I'd love to hear from you. 619-924-0986, 619-924-0986, or email the show at Talkin' on the Move Show, and let us know what you have to say. If you're a constitutional sheriff or you know of one, tune in and let us know what you have to say on this. All right, what were you saying, Chuck?
Well, I was going to say, I'm the one to talk about my situation in here. Recently I was stopped by the LAPD, and I practice driving, and I'm not a sovereign citizen. I think that there should be some law, but they should all follow the Constitution. I don't have a driver's license. I don't register my car. And it's not because I lost it. It's because I chose not to pay for it anymore. And I chose not to pay for it. We have innumerable rights. It means our rights are not limited to what's in the Constitution. It goes beyond that. They're unenumerated, whereas the governments are enumerated. They're numbered. And so the right to travel has been one of those rights the President has been established on. And so, that's also part of my tax fair consent thing. It's if you're going to want the government to change, you have to make it need to change. And part of that is taking away the money from it. As long as you're giving things like the DMV money and registration for a car, and that's really not only a violation of your rights like property, you're having to pay a yearly duty to own it, but on top of that, too, you're funding the mechanism that is used against you.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
But these cops, it
doesn't make sense for us to actually pay for permission to do something that's supposed to be a right, like your right to travel. And one point that I make is, as far as the right to travel, as far as driving and having to be licensed and permitted to do that, is how it affects your other rights. Like, for example, let's say that you wanted to go to church on Sunday. That's practicing your First Amendment right, freedom of religion, your human right to practice your religion. So you want to drive to your church, and now you don't have the money to, let's say you could not afford, you literally cannot afford to pay the registration and to pay the fee to get a driver's license. Well, now it's infringed on your religious right, your right to do it. Not only your right to travel, but your right to practice your religion.
There's other pieces of like little subsets of oppression in the actual DMV. It's almost in every state-based DMV as subsets of oppression inside the actual whole licensing system and the registration system. For example, when they put these smog laws out there saying if this car makes this much more pollution than it's supposed to, you can't drive it. What that does is the people who claim to be the most tolerant people in the world, the left, the tolerant left is the most intolerant people in the world. Because they put that law in there about smog and stuff. Really what they've done is now they've said if a guy can only afford a $500 car, can't buy a $500 car because usually they have problems and don't pass smog. Unless he can't buy that car because it's not acceptable to everybody else. But really, you're taking away the poor people's right to buy something that's of their means that they can afford to travel in. I mean, if you put a smog law out there that says the car has to be this little polluting or has to fit in these numbers, well, what if the cheap cars don't do that? So now you have to buy like a car that has the smog costs probably about $2,000 pretty much on average. So now what about that guy's got a wife and a family that's got $500 in his pocket and needs to get to work? What about him? What about the poor people?
You're taking money out of their pockets, literally.
What's that?
Yeah. I said you're taking money out of their pockets, literally. Like you're literally helping impoverish these people because now, not only can they not practice their religious right, but now they have trouble getting to work and they can't afford to pay things in order to make money.
Well, it's the laws like that. Where you're not actually letting him buy what's up his means, but like he can afford at his level in society is that $500 beater car. And you know, if he wants to get out of that car, believe me, he's not going to drive the smog-polluting car forever. He'd rather have something nicer. But he's got to work his way up to that, and he needs that to do it. And there's a whole lot of laws like that, like even building code laws. I mean, a lot of things like that are. I mean, because here in California, where I live, you have to have a certain percentage of LED lights in your kitchen, and you have to have them in your bathrooms. LED lights compared to a regular recessed fixture. I'm a contractor by trade. $6 for a regular recessed housing fixture, or $45 for an LED fixture. And so basically, what you're doing is you're making it. Somebody that's poor, you're making it so that they have some land and they can afford to build a decent house, you know, something that's better than we used to live in 100 years ago, but it doesn't have all these LEDs. They can't do it because it doesn't pass code. So you make all these laws that they are environmental, this, so further, they're helping people out, we're tolerant people. They're really discriminatory. They're classist at best.
Now, what do you think about this? I heard in the news not too long ago that Seaside, Oregon, it's a little further away from where I'm at right now, but Seaside, Oregon just passed an ordinance that now makes it illegal for you to actually have an outdoor light that doesn't have this shroud over it. If you're anywhere within a certain proximity of the beach, and they're trying to do this so that the tourists there can see the stars in the sky. So that, and that's their reasoning behind it. It has nothing to do other than that, but just for tourism purposes. But they're telling people what they can and can't do on their privately owned property.
Well, that goes back to the whole thing with, you know, like being able to build something to your means and having them discriminate against you for class, or maybe in my case, I'm telling you what to do with a car, having a driver's license. I mean, how do we own property if we can't do what we want with it? How do we have a right to property? The right to property, unless you can really, and I think the wording is, freely acquire, use, and dispose of as you see fit. If you can't do that with your property, that whole it's a farce. It's basically it's hollow words now, and that's scary to think because our founding fathers talked about how the right to own property, the right to property, was one of the key elements of freedom.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. So here's my question to you then. Okay, I know you've been in this, you know, trying to wake people up, trying to get people, you know, to the cause of liberty and actually make them understand what's going on. And honestly, first of all, I just want to say thank you. You know, this is a tough cause that you picked up, especially, you know, with the licensing and in the automobiles and whatnot. That's a tough one to get people to snap out of it and realize, hey, you know, this is tyrannical.
So Mack, check this out, Mack. If we can win that battle, though, that's an important battle. I picked that kind of as an entryway to a whole line of questioning a lot of laws. Because the thing is, it's one that a lot of people will get behind you, I think, if you can get it moving. Because here's the deal, is that everybody hates paying that registration. Here in California, it's ridiculous what we pay. And, you know, and like, everybody almost has a family member these days who's lost their license at some point in time. It's something we can all relate to, and we can all see the tyranny in it, and we kind of don't like it when they take the money out of our pockets. So people are eager to maybe jump behind that. But see, the whole deal is once you can get people to start questioning whether or not, just because it's law it does not make it correct, you can get people to realize that men in black robes, they say stuff, doesn't make they're wearing the black robes does not make them right, and you can get them to question that. Then it opens up a whole other line. And if you can win that battle in court, now you can go through things like gun control, which here in California would be the next thing I would pick at. So you can get this one. Because once you can get established that the laws are not infallible, the laws are not these immortal, like Obamacare, not these like things that become just the second they're passed, these become pillars of our society, and that's not the case. And things can change. And once you get that idea in people's heads, and you get the court system to acknowledge it with an issue like driving, where a lot of people try to get behind you because they hate the fees they pay, then you can start attacking other things that are even more essential to liberty. I think it's more one of those foot-in-the-door things where you can get that one, you can get people to your cause, then you can start to establish that mindset of the law is questionable.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think you're right in regard to that, but I do think that this can also work the other way as well. It can make people think, oh, well, it's not a big deal, you know, and then it can make them think that, you know, you're just, you know, some guy out there, you know, thinking anti-government, stuff like that. And I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying these are the problems that we face in this movement. And again, you know, I really appreciate the fact that you're out there doing it, because people need to get out there and wake up as many people to these things as possible, and you know, every different way that we can try to find out how to wake people up, either, you know, doing it through the licensing or doing it, you know, through something else. You know, if any idea, just get out there and get moving.
Real quick though. The thing is, I had these cops take my vehicle away in L.A. after I explained everything to them. I got constitutional precedent sitting there on paper in front of them. But I will give credit to law enforcement. Before that, I've been pulled over like 12 other times. I've been to court once, twice actually, had dismissed both times. The other times I've been to court, the other 10 times, I got a ticket 3 times, once taken my car. The other 10 times I didn't get a ticket. These cops, when you show them you know the law and you talk to them, you're reasonable, they will, a lot of times, they'll listen to you. They'll hear what you say, and they'll know that you aren't some punk who just doesn't want to pay or got your license taken. You're doing this for a reason. And there's a lot of them that have listened, and to their credit, there's a lot of them who have looked at me and said, you know what, you're right. And I walked away without a ticket, my car, or the two of them that did give me a ticket that I went to court for, they had the respect to say, you know what, well, let the court decide this, and not take the vehicle. And the thing is, that's the thing. I've had an overall positive experience with it in that regard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these cops, they're ignorant of the law. They really honestly are just not taught. It's the problem with our schools and our cops. We don't teach people things like the Constitution anymore. We don't teach natural law at law schools anymore. When you go to law school now, you don't learn natural law, and that is the premise of everything the founders based our whole system on. Your natural, inalienable, God-given rights.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Teaching that to lawyers and judges, we have a problem.
Yeah, well, Oregon State, they actually have a law in their Constitution. It's in the Constitution that requires them to teach for, I believe it's 5 years, the Constitution in schools, which they're not complying with, but it's in the Constitution itself. We talk about it on my YouTube channel in the Constitutional Study Groups. The YouTube channel is On the Move Show, so if anybody wants to check it out, I believe we talked about it in the first Constitutional Study Group. It's a 2-hour-long clip, so it's in there somewhere. But yeah. You know, I know exactly what you're talking about. That our government isn't teaching us the Constitution. That, you know, it's a problem with also the police departments. The way that their academy works. These people are graduating without even the basic concept of the law. They just know, you know, some of these things that they can get catch-all people like disorderly conduct or something like that, and then they sort it out later.
It's funny to me because I've had this whole thing with the LAPD where they stick my truck. I mean, this whole thing I've had so many times. I've had twice that people tell me that the Constitution is irrelevant. There are laws, there are police officers in regards to California, like vehicle code and statute. I've had one tell me that when I was telling him what my rights are, and I'm telling him the Constitution verbatim, telling me it's my opinion. And the thing is, and they always say that one line. They say, "Well, I'm just upholding the law," and they quote the state law they're upholding. But the problem with that is our state laws, yours and mine, state both have the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence for the country, the national Constitution and the Declaration of Independence in their founding documents for the state. And so, yeah, you're following this state law, but it violates the first part of the state charter that was ever passed. I mean, and I don't get that. Sometimes I'm flabbergasted, really, at some of the things I hear.
Yeah, believe me, I understand. And I saw that video that you have on your YouTube channel. Again, for my listeners, it's youtube.com/Chuck Burns 4. That's a number 4, USA. Check it out. That was really crazy when that officer said, you know, the Constitution is irrelevant. That blew me away. I couldn't believe it. These are people that swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Right. Hey, Chuck, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in about a minute 30. Are you able to stay with us for a little bit longer?
Absolutely. I'm able as long as you need me.
Okay, awesome. All right, we'll be right back, guys, and thanks for sticking with us.
On the Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/onthemove-show. We appreciate your support. Need design services? Logo design for $90, business cards, brochures, bumper stickers, signs, flyers, promotional products such as mugs, pins, bags, keychains, magnets, and so much more. Contact LaTasha Worley for a quote on your next project at Tasha, Tosha, at lworleyphotography.com today, or visit me on the web at lworleyphotography.com. And on Facebook at facebook.com/lworleyphotography, and on Twitter at twitter.com/Tasha Worley. Show your support for a designer who believes in the Constitution and your rights.
And we're back. When we last left the show, we had special guest Chuck Burns from youtube.com/Chuck Burns, the number 4 USA. He is on the show. We're talking about liberty and the cause of liberty. If you want to join the conversation, the telephone number to the show is 619-924-0986. Again, that is 619-924-0986. Or you can email the show at talk@onthemoveshow.com. Chuck, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so what I'd like to know from you, I asked this question to a lot of my guests on the show, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it because I like your take on it. Usually you have unique opinions on things, and I'm curious, what does it mean to you to be a patriot?
Be a patriot? That's these days. I think that word has become very polluted. I look at Twitter. I think I have a video called "No More Compromise," and I say in there, we're all sitting here in little circles online. Everybody says I'm a patriot, but what are you doing about that? We all pat ourselves on our back, but the fact of the matter is, the past 100 years of this country can be chalked up as a law. The progressive. And I ask people, so what are you willing to do to change that? You start talking to them about the whole thing, the whole thing with taxes.consent.org. I tell people, you have to consent to your government, right? You have the right to retract it too. If you have to consent, that would make sense. You have the right to retract the consent. So if you have the right to retract the consent, that means that would be including paying taxes, and that's the best way because the politicians don't listen anymore. You can send Tea Party people to Washington D.C. They seem to change when they get there. So the politicians don't listen. The place changes people when they get there. So what do you do to make them listen? You got to take the money back. That feeds the beast. That's the whole thing. The license, but you have to take the money away from the system. But the thing is, when you start talking to patriots about that, start saying, "Well, are you paying taxes?" When Bush passed TARP, I stopped. When Bush passed TARP, and I said, "I'm not funding corporatism." I said right then and there, I sent a notified letter to the IRS. I called them and I told them I cited the law and the code and the Supreme Court precedents that I didn't have to because it's voluntary tax system. Believe it or not, it's a voluntary tax system we have here. You can't just go to court and claim that. You have to know the law. If you don't know the law, the judge will throw you in jail. If you run roughshod over you. But the thing is, though, when I ask these people, the patriots, supposed patriots, well, are you willing to stop paying your taxes? Are you willing to? I could go to jail. I could get in trouble for that. And that disgusts me. It's this country's freedom was bought and paid for by men who put their lives on the line, who were willing to pay the ultimate price. They wrote that check that could be cashed for a price up to and including their, what. And when you have that foundation of what started us, but when you have something that could get me in trouble, or bad thing could happen, and it stops you. What if the men who started this country did that? What if George Washington and Ben Franklin said, "You know what? Oh, the British are kind of scary. You know what? I don't want to go look down the barrel of a gun at somebody."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We have to actually put our money where our mouth is. We got to be willing to.
Absolutely. That's what being a patriot is. That's what being a patriot is. It means putting your money where your mouth is and doing it even when your patoot is on the line and it could cost you something dear. Even when like me, it could cost me my truck, and it has at this point in time. You know what? It doesn't matter. You still do what's right. Because if it's nothing about compromise. If it's really your principles, your truth, and you really believe it to your core, we know freedom is truth. If you believe that to your core, and you know that is correct, and you know in your heart you're correct, like our founders did, you know what? You can't sell any part of that. The second you sell any part of that, people like the left, they own you. Because it's not objective truth anymore. Now it's subjective because you've sold part of it. So And they can come at you. They can say things like, well, you know you're not always right. Look at you. You see at this point to me. You gave me this little inch right here. If you're willing to do that, I mean, you know there's problems with your beliefs. And so that's why you gave it up, right? And then next thing you know, they're minimizing, they're poking holes in your argument. And that's why I think a lot of the conservatives in Washington, supposed conservatives, are quiet, because they've compromised their beliefs so many times in so many areas that it's impossible for them to really stand up to anything. I mean, I say to people, let's talk after this, I say to people, I say compromise is like ice cream, right? Or compromise is for ice cream. Right? We go to the first store, we go to the you want vanilla, I want chocolate. We can compromise on that, because they're both ice cream. But when you have truth and you have lies, and you have freedom and you have oppression, there is no compromising it whatsoever. And if you're a patriot, you don't sell that ideal short. You don't try to bring these wishy-washy candidates like the GOP does to elections. You get people who stand on principle and say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and it doesn't matter if it costs me. I can go home and sleep at the end of the night. I can look my grandkids in the eye someday and say, you know what, if we fall into tyranny, it wasn't because of me. You know, I probably won't be alive if that happens, but that's okay. And or you can sit there and tell them how you fought it back. But you have to. If you're not willing to do that, there's a famous quote that says, you're only kept free by the exertions of better men than yourself. The quote goes, I think, some men are only kept free by the exertions of better men than themselves.
That's awesome. That's a great quote.
I will never be one of those people.
That's amazing. Well, hey, Chuck, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I want to give you a chance to promote anything else you got going on. What other websites, and if you could give your YouTube account and everything again so my listeners can check you out.
The big thing is, like I said, the Twitter is thank everybody on Twitter that follows me. Actually, just right now, I need to do that because I just hit 15,000 followers the other day. And so I want to thank everybody on Twitter that's following me, all the 15,000 here. If you're listening, any one of you, I put this show out there, so maybe it's people tomorrow, but I thank you guys very much. You know, I appreciate everything. Like I said, I'd rather not be a voice I'd rather our country be healthy. But you know what, though? I at least appreciate I have to say something. Y'all listen. And also, the YouTube.com is youtube.com /user/Chuck Burns 4, the number 4 USA. So watch the videos, check that out. It's and just question like I said, don't believe me when I say. Look into things, question everything, and think for yourself and think free. Don't think in the status quo. If anything else is going to be possible, something different can be possible, we have to first think that that's capable of even happening. If we don't think it's capable of happening, it won't happen. And one more thing, taxstarconsent.org is the website. It's for information about retracting your consent through your taxes. If you fund tyranny and the machine is used against you, your consent is irrelevant. And one other thing, on the tax for consent, you can find a link to my fundanything.com campaign. Right now, we're fighting the LAPD for the right to property, the right to due process, the right to travel freely as we see fit with the key principles of liberty. And they're hitting me right now. It's almost $1,000+ in filing for a lawsuit. They're hitting me with a couple thousand more for the motions and stuff. I have 30 motions I'm filing on the case. I mean, so I can handle it, but I'd appreciate some help from patriots out there. It's fundanything.com, and you can find the link on my blog at taxstarconsent.org. I mean, and anybody wants to help out that, we'd appreciate it greatly. We're also going to be starting greasing up that same movement, a cop watch organization out here in the Thousand Oaks, LA County area. So,
okay. Well, hey, Chuck, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email with all that information, especially with your donation fund that people can get. I'll put that on my show or on my show's Facebook, and I'll try to get some information out because I'd like to help you out with that as much as possible. So I'll try to get that message out.
They're trying to kill me right now with these filing fees. I mean, it's insane. It's and I'm sitting there telling the people at the window, you know what? How can you do this? The DA does when he files a motion. The DA, when he went to go all the discovery, he doesn't pay you any money. How is it right that they charge us, the citizens, to get the cops get things against you for free?
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, shoot me the information on that, man. I'll get it out. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I'm going to cut to a commercial break.
I appreciate it very much.
You're very welcome, and you are welcome on the show anytime. Like I said, please let me know if there's anything I can do for you, and I'll try to promote the heck out of this donation fund for you, because it's horrible what they're doing to you.
You ever need a guest, you can always call me up. I'd be glad to come on, man. You're a good guy. Thanks for serving.
Awesome.
And have a great one, man.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All
right, so we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to wrap up the show. I got a few more segments that I want to talk about, and I appreciate you guys.